In the Citadel, every day begins with the same sterile chime. A soft, synthesized melody that pulls you from a dreamless sleep into a world of perfect order. We all rise at the same time, don the same gray uniform, and consume the same nutrient paste. It's a life of absolute predictability, a life without surprise, and a life, they tell us, without pain. I am Ilara, designation 734, and for as long as I can remember, I felt like a discordant note in this perfect symphony. While others move with a placid acceptance, a quiet hum of unease has always thrummed beneath my skin. I see the world in shades they don't seem to notice, the way the artificial sunlight casts long, lonely shadows in the sterile corridors, the faint, almost imperceptible scent of ozone from the air purifiers. I've learned to hide this awareness, to mimic the blank expressions and steady gait of everyone around me. In the Citadel, to be different is to be defective, and defects are corrected. My work assignment is in the archives of conformity. I spend my days digitizing old world records, books, photographs, letters before they are permanently purged. It's a methodical, repetitive task meant to be devoid of emotion. But for me, it's a secret window into a forgotten time. I see images of people laughing, their faces crinkled with joy. I read words of passionate love and profound sorrow. These artifacts whisper of a world that was messy, chaotic, and vibrant. A world where feelings weren't a sickness to be cured. One afternoon, while handling a brittle, leather-bound journal, a small folded piece of paper slipped out from between its pages. It was a hand-drawn map. It was crude, almost childlike, depicting landmarks of the Citadel that were familiar, but with strange symbols and a path that led beyond the city's outer wall. At the bottom, a single word was scrawled, sanctuary. My heart, a muscle I was taught to ignore, hammered against my ribs. This wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a seed of possibility. The map became my obsession. During my designated rest periods, I would trace its lines in my mind, memorizing every turn. The biggest challenge was the main checkpoint, the Genesis Gate. It was guarded by enforcers, silent figures in polished black armor, their faces hidden behind reflective visors. No one ever left the Citadel. The official narrative was simple. Beyond the walls lay only the toxic ruins of the past, a wasteland where life was impossible. But the map promised something else. It promised a sanctuary. I began to gather small, seemingly useless items. A discarded length of conductive wire from a maintenance panel. A concentrated nutrient bar saved from my daily rations. A small, reflective shard of polished plasteel. Each item was a risk. Unscheduled acquisitions were a serious infraction. My neighbor, designation 735, once received a public reprimand for keeping a uniquely smooth stone he found. His memory was recalibrated the next day. He didn't even remember the stone. The fear of that vacant stare was constant, but the pull of the map was stronger. The time to act came during the annual Harmony Festival, the one day the Citadel's rigid schedule was slightly altered. Grand light displays and synchronized marchers were designed to reinforce our collective unity. It was also the one time the enforcers' patrol patterns were stretched thin, their attention focused on the grand plazas. The map showed a route through the undergrid, a network of maintenance tunnels beneath the city. My access keycard, which I had subtly recoded using the conductive wire and a public data port, would grant me entry for exactly 3 minutes. My breath hitched as I swiped the card. The light turned green. The heavy door hissed open, revealing a dark, cavernous tunnel filled with the hum of the city's life support systems. I slipped inside just as the door sealed behind me, plunging me into near-total darkness. The air was thick with the smell of damp metal and dust. The sounds of the festival above were a muffled, distant pulse. I was alone, truly alone, for the first time in my life. The feeling was terrifying and utterly exhilarating. Navigating the undergrid was a nightmare. The map was my only guide in the labyrinth of pipes and conduits. At one junction, my path was blocked by a steam vent, hissing with scalding pressure. I remembered the stories from the old world books, stories of ingenuity and quick thinking. Wrapping my hand in a spare piece of my uniform, I managed to turn a stiff valve, redirecting the steam just long enough to squeeze past. Every step was a test, a defiance of the passive existence I was supposed to lead. After what felt like an eternity, I reached the final marker on the map, a rusted ladder leading up to a ventilation grate. This was it, the edge of the citadel. My hands trembled as I pushed against the grate. It was heavy, but years of repressed frustration gave me a strength I didn't know I possessed. It gave way with a groan, and I pulled myself up and out. I was met not with a toxic wasteland, but with the most overwhelming sensory experience of my life. The air was cool and carried a scent I'd only ever read about. Damp earth, decaying leaves, and something floral and sweet. Above me, the sky wasn't a uniform gray ceiling, but a vast dark canvas pricked with countless points of brilliant light. The moon, a real moon, hung like a silver coin in the heavens. I dropped to my knees, tears streaming down my face. Not tears of sadness, but of pure, unadulterated awe. The world outside was not dead. It was quiet, but it was vibrantly alive. I followed the final leg of the map, my city-soft feet stumbling over roots and stones. As dawn began to break, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold I'd never imagined, I saw it. Nestled in a small hidden valley was a collection of makeshift dwellings. Smoke curled from a chimney, and I could hear the distant sound of voices. Not the monotone of the citadel, but voices layered with inflection, with life. I saw people in clothes of every color, tending to gardens, talking, and even laughing. An old woman with a face lined like a beautiful, ancient map saw me approaching. She wasn't alarmed. Her eyes were kind, and she held a warmth that was entirely alien to me. She smiled, a genuine, unpracticed smile. "You found the way," she said, her voice raspy and gentle. "Welcome, little bird. Welcome to Sanctuary." Standing at the edge of this new world, I took my first real breath of free air. The gray uniform of the citadel felt like a costume from another life. Here, there were no chimes, no schedules, no nutrient paste. There was only the promise of a life that was messy, unpredictable, and entirely my own. My journey wasn't over. It had just begun. The citadel had taught me how to exist, but here, in Sanctuary, I was finally going to learn how to live. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales of worlds beyond our own. Until next time.